What's up, YouTube? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to the Hood Astro Queen. To all of my returning subscribers. But if this is your first time joining me on today, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way in, okay? Because you know you want to. So before we get started with today's video, I want to give another shout out to my girl, Leah. Okay, she has a YouTube channel called LiveWLiyah. But she also has her own spiritual channel where she does tarot readings. She's very, very good. I actually just got a reading done from her maybe within the past week or so. When I tell y'all she was spot on, okay? She was spot on. And she's super professional, you know? So, yeah, y'all be sure to check her out. The readings are only $20, so you might as well. The link to her channel is in the comment section or the description box below, whichever one I do. But yeah, look into her, y'all. Check her out, please. She's awesome. I promise you won't regret it. Now, with that out the way, I wanted to talk about today's video, which is going to be paying homage, so to speak, to the late, great Biggie. Now, technically, when I put this video out, it's going to be May 22nd. So yesterday was Biggie's birthday. And in celebration of his birthday, I wanted to do a celebrity birth chart reading. Now, on to his date of birth. He was born on May 21st, 1972 in New York, making him a Gemini sun, Virgo moon. Now, this double dose of Mercury energy right off rip made him an amazing writer. I mean, just the fact that he was a Gemini alone, like a Gemini sun, was very fitting because he kind of fit all of like the, quintessential Gemini archetype. So, witty guy. A lot of people who knew him described him as very fun-loving, easygoing, super entertaining, super fun to be around. Gemini is the sign of youth, so he probably acted like a big kid, playing jokes and whatever, doing pranks. But then also, Gemini governs the hands, so he was an amazing writer, an amazing wordsmith. Virgo also makes a very good writer, or even somebody who is just, their mind works at such a rapid pace. I remember Hove even recalling going into the studio with Biggie and saying that Biggie didn't even have to write his rhymes before going into the booth. So that's still very much that Gemini or Mercury energy because your mind is moving so fast, like you're quick on your feet. It makes for a great kind of impromptu type of nature. So there's that. But then also, mainly with him being a Gemini sun, there was this sense of duplicity that many Geminis like him had, Tupac included. Now, we knew him like the consumer, the audience, fans, knew him for being like this super, like I said, fun guy, this mega entertainer. People idealized him. To this day, we still do. However, he had a darker side to him that was depicted both in his music as well as in a lot of his dealings with mainly Lil' Kim. Now, as far as his lyrics are concerned, I remember listening to certain songs. Like, there was this one song in particular. Y'all drop down in the comment section because I don't remember the name of the song. But the lyric, like, explicitly said, my friend kidnaps kids, fucks them in the ass, and throws them off a bridge. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was just like listening to some of his lyrics, like, especially in hindsight. And he had this fascination with death. And I mean, underneath like this fun, chubby dude, there was this serious type of dark, twisted way of thinking. And that's very much Gemini. That was very much quintessential Gemini. But then also, as Lil' Kim and a couple of other people who were around them could recall, he also had a very temperamental, abusive side. Honestly, was like a monster, just keeping it real. Okay, so yeah, definitely, he was definitely had like a lot of that duplicity going on. Now, onto him being a Virgo moon. This could also deal with him being very critical, fault finding, as Virgo likes to fix things, right? So this could even include him fixing women or taking on women as projects. Virgo is the sign of the builder. So obviously, this absolutely points towards his relationship with Lil' Kim. You know, him taking her and making her what pretty much the world knew her to be. Because I believe he discovered her and then included her in his group, Junior Mafia. And then people even said he wrote for her. So, you know, I would not be surprised if that was true. But then also him crafting her appearance. And Lil' Kim even admitted to this herself, you know. She said that she started off kind of conservative, rapping like, you know, like that rah-rah hardcore shit. And Biggie pretty much was like, look, don't nobody want to hear that, okay? Take your shirt off, get sexy, here, say this, say that. And really kind of like on some Build-A-Bear workshop type shit, put her image together. But in that same vein, he was also very, like I said, criticizing towards her and probably complained a lot, probably found faults in a lot of the things that she did. And was also probably even very insecure. And I can kind of see this, especially as it pertains to, once again, women. You know, there was that thing when Tupac did the Hit 'Em Up diss, and he claimed that he slept with Faith Evans. And as the story goes, Biggie ran back to the apartment or to the room and practically tore the door off the hinges and like just exploded on Faith. And, you know, a lot of that is, you know, based off of insecurities. Let's be honest. He wasn't the most attractive guy. He was not. He wasn't no Trey Songz. So let's just be honest. And then also, I would even suspect that that insecurity kind of seeped into his relationship, his dealings with Lil' Kim also. So, you know, there could have been situations to where he was constantly in need for, like I said, that reinsurance, or, you know, he needed a lot of attention, you know, especially as it pertains to women. He needed a lot of attention and nurturing from, you know, the women in his life, or else it could lead to his mind even like running away, playing tricks on him, his, you know, getting swept up in his imagination, jumping to conclusions, things of that nature. And then also with him being a Virgo moon, this could even deal with Biggie having because, you know, Virgo is the sign that deals with like food, your diet, your routine. And this could deal with Biggie having a very specific taste or dislikes in food. You know what I mean? And an interpretation of this, or the more common interpretation of Virgo moons, is somebody who is, you know, like a health nut and so concerned with living healthy. And I mean, obviously, taking a look at Biggie, the man was not like your gym nut, your health nut, or whatever. But, you know, even the word diet, like, this could even apply to there being a lack of diet, or him just being very specific in the things that he liked to eat. And what sticks out in my mind was that Big Papa song. Was it the Big Papa song? Where he was talking about going to get something to eat. And he's like, yeah, T-bone steak, eggs, and which is great. Like, oh, okay, so that's what you like. Like in that order. Okay, that's what you like. Okay. But then also, it could deal with him having a lot of like mental activity that could even be to his detriment, like slick on the mental health side. You know, he could have been very much OCD, even paranoid, which is very poignant because I do remember watching several videos of him, especially towards the end of his life, where he even admitted himself, like, I'm very paranoid. I'm very, you know, whatever. I think people are doing this. I think people are doing that. Now, to his point, he was absolutely under some form of surveillance. And we're going to get to that later on in the reading. But also, he was just naturally the type of person to suffer from lots of anxiety and have a lot of mental and nervous energy anyway. That's just, with this get up, he was kind of prone towards that. Also, okay, Virgo moons need soft places to land. Okay, it's one of the moon signs where, despite them coming off as like very, like I said, picky or fussy, there's this need for like a comfort, and particularly with men, especially if with Virgo moons, this could be found in women. So dealing with Biggie, he had a lot of women in his life, which is something else we'll get into in his chart. But, this placement could deal with him needing and craving close relationships with women, a desire to always have a woman around, and, it's particularly even having a close relationship with the mom. So, which was true because he did have a very close relationship with his mom. And I think even to this day, like, his mom is just like, was on some ride or die shit. Despite the fact that his mom may have been like a bit of a helicopter mom, because Virgo moons can produce that. It can produce somebody who was sheltered. It could produce somebody who had a mom that was very much like just overprotective, had very clear expectations and boundaries, and was very picky. And I think I kind of get that vibe from his mom, actually, looking at a lot of like documentaries and interviews and things of that nature. She was like a Jamaican mom, very much like old school. She ruled with an iron fist, and often they butted heads throughout his adolescence. So you could definitely see that there. But then also, that Virgo moon also deals with him being a caretaker for his mother, which obviously was true. Now, his Mercury is in Taurus, which deals with him, number one, being very fixated on his moolah, on his money, him needing stability, and probably enjoyed or wanted more than one source of income. This could also deal with Biggie being very possessive over even just his possessions, his belongings, but as well as the people in his life. It made him a very humble, kind of down-to-earth person, which is kind of clear to see that he was. And then also, this could even dealt with Biggie being in the music industry, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus does deal with the arts, right? Very creative kind of means of self-expression. So all that. But then I also found it interesting that his Mercury is opposing Diddy's sun, because Diddy is a Scorpio. And this could make Biggie quite naive, as far as their relation, the dynamic of their relationship. It made him very trusting, very loyal, but also kind of naive to certain things. And it definitely points towards Diddy in the control seat of that relationship. You know what I mean? Manipulating that relationship, even using it to his advantage, gaining from it in a way, and just going about it in a way that was very like underhanded, sneaky, and calculating. So, there's that. But then also, moving right along, Biggie's Venus and Mars are in Cancer. And this deals with, number one, him having a love-hate relationship with women, just straight up. But then also, his Venus and Mars are conjoined to his South Node. And this, once again, at the 29th degree at that. And that 29th degree brings about crisis. It brings about high pressure situations, and even like third party interference. So we're talking major women issues, and everybody knows the infamous, love triangle, so to speak, between Faith Evans, and Lil' Kim, which was, it's no surprise because that 29th degree deals with love triangles. Okay, so him having all of these issues surrounding women, which were very karmic in nature, but then also dealing with him being very loyal, and maybe not in like a I'm not going to cheat kind of sense, but him feeling indebted, you know what I mean, to the women in his life, or requiring that kind of loyalty from women, reinforcing, like I said, that Virgo moon, that need to kind of land on something soft, that need to surround yourself with that feminine energy. Him either receiving some type of motherly love from the women in his life, or serving as a fatherly role, which is no coincidence, because Kim's sun is conjoined to his north node, or his south node in Cancer rather, which number one explains the dysfunctional, like just how dysfunctional that relationship was. I mean, we're talking abuse here. We're talking hardcore physical abuse. And I believe Jermaine Dupri on Drinking Champs episode podcast, he admitted to seeing Biggie pull out a pistol on Kim. And even Kim admitted to them having a very explosive relationship. I'm not sure if she admitted that he put his hands on her, but let's be clear, that's exactly what happened. And I always say that in synastry, these lunar nodal kind of hookups, to where maybe your partner's sun primarily is conjoined to your south node, are a disaster. And initially, they start because it's a very karmic tie between you and that person. And if I'm not mistaken, Biggie's son is also conjoined to Lil Kim's south node. So essentially, this was a double whammy that went both ways. And this type of dynamic starts off with, I mean, first of all, they were probably more than likely with this getup related in a previous lifetime, or they had some type of previous or past life connection, which is why they felt so comfortable, right? And at home with one another. Their bond was so strong to the fact that Biggie kind of, went back to her after he was even married. And Cancer does deal with the past. Him being a Cancer south node at that 29th degree can deal with situations to where even once he's married, even once he's, made progress in life and whatever, he still craves like, oh, the good old days, right? And he's always going to run back into the arms of Lil Kim, which he did quite often. And it's been documented. And then also, I mean, over time, it creates a situation to where both people are going to bring the worst out of each other. So if you can help it, please, stay away from this shit. If your partner's sun is on your south node or vice versa, yeah. And given that Cancer deals with the past, right, with his south node in Cancer at the 29th degree, conjoined to Lil Kim's sun, it's highly probable that, it's actually been documented that no matter what happened in his life, he had a tendency to run back to her, which is very much that Cancer energy. Because it could create somebody who is, fixated on past lovers, who can't really let go of the old times and the bonds and connections that they shared with the individual. So, it's likely that even though Biggie had moved on to a full-blown relationship, or marriage rather, he couldn't quite let go of Lil Kim, especially if things got hectic, or, if things got uncomfortable for him, or he was stressed. He ran to Lil Kim because that's where he felt the most at home, and that's where he felt the most comfortable. However, it was still a very much toxic kind of relationship. So I definitely wanted to stress that part. And then also, Cancer deals with race. Venus and Mars conjoined to his south node in Cancer, especially when you add Lil Kim's sun to the equation. I wouldn't even be surprised if he berated her about her skin color, or if she somehow got the impression from Biggie that she would be more valuable if she were fairer skinned. And this is definitely, it's plausible, especially because if you looked at who he was married to, Faith Evans, very fair skinned, but then he was also rumored to have a relationship with Charlie Baltimore, who is another very fair skinned woman. I always think about her being a part of Murder, Inc. I don't even remember her from the, 90s, but whatever. Biggie's fully loaded South Node in Cancer could absolutely deal with him having a skin tone fixation, especially as it pertains to the women in his life. And therefore, it is no surprise that, 20 years later, Lil' Kim is out here looking like a whole white lady, like an old white lady at that, like not even an attractive one. She looks fucking terrible. So there's that. But then also, if you flip that, taking a look at her chart, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but her being a Gemini South Node, right, with his sun conjoined to her South Node, could even point towards him doing a number on her mental, him manipulating her mentally, fucking her up in the head. So, yeah, that definitely checks out both ways. And then Biggie's loaded South Node can also deal with him as far as like his relationships with women anyway, distracting him from his soul's mission, from his life, which purpose. With him being a Capricorn North Node was to be, to elevate his status, really, to be a hardworking guy, all about his come up, all because that Capricorn deals with the elevator to success, so to speak. Him carving out his path, carving out his destiny. Capricorn deals with your destiny, all right, leaving his mark on the world, which he absolutely succeeded. He accomplished in that, definitely. But also, this Capricorn North Node at the 29th degree can also deal with issues with the feds, the police. It could deal with him even being set up. His Jupiter is conjoined to his North Node at the 7th degree, which could also deal with conspiracy. It also deals with Biggie making deals with the devil. Capricorn is also symbolized by Satan, especially in the tarot deck. So there's this more sinister side of his destiny. Because, destiny and fate, they don't discriminate, you know what I mean? It could be somebody's fate or their destiny to get ran over by a truck. But it just is what it is, right? But then this Capricorn North Node also made him somebody who was quite mean and controlling at times, especially to the women in his life. But more so also ambitious and focused on big achievements. Like I said, falling in line with that desire to create and leave a huge mark on on the world, really. Once again, he did absolutely that. But with that elevator to success, especially as it pertains to Capricorn, it goes both ways. So it can deal with sudden rise in fame and status, but then also it being pulled from beneath you just like that. And so once again, tying into his destiny, his fate, that North Node, him just having, I guess you could say, a fate or destiny of being or having his fame cut short, maybe is a better way to put that. But this whole surveillance thing is kind of a recurring theme in his chart. Him having issues with, and we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill police here. We're talking about on a federal level. Y'all can put the pieces together how y'all want on that one. That is what it is. But then also, his Saturn is conjoined to his sun, which actually reinforces this point of there being him being under some type of surveillance, him being followed. I believe he even mentioned this. I think his mom, for a fact, mentioned this when she was talking about she was in a documentary. It was one of the documentaries. And she was saying that he would actually call her and tell her how scared he was, and he noticed people following him and whatever. So I'm not going to elaborate on that anymore, okay? Look, you already know what time it is. So there's that. But then also, his Saturn conjoined to his sun can deal with him experiencing, anyway, severe bouts of depression. It can also deal with Biggie having issues with the lungs, having issues with his lungs and his heart, too. which, I mean, I know he used to breathe hard, but I didn't know if he was doing it because he was fat or what. But that placement can create that. But then also, it could create car accidents, which I know he was in a really big car accident towards the end of his life to where he had to walk on a cane. So there's that. This could also deal with him being a wordsmith for a living, a really good writer for a living. But then also, Biggie having lots of karma that he had to deal with. Him even being punished by death. This aspect can even deal with him being betrayed by childhood friends. So, there's that. And then this whole little sinister thing when it comes to his relationships is kind of reinforced as his Uranus is in Libra, which deals with sudden relationships, but kind of unstable relationships. Now, on one hand, in the marriage department, because Libra does rule the 7th house of marriage. So it's it creates very hasty decisions, especially as it's opposing to his Chiron in Aries. This could deal with him literally meeting a woman or hooking up with a chick that he's cool with and getting so caught up, wrapped up in the moment that he ends up acting without thinking, or this creates an ideal placement for somebody who just rushes and gets married. It probably even runs down to the courthouse, those type of marriages where forget the wedding, all that. We're in the moment, we caught up in the moment, let's go get married, baby. And I think that's what he did with Faith Evans, if I'm not mistaken. They had only been dating for 2 weeks. And they were like, oh, let's go get married. And they had a very private little situation and whatever. However, on the other hand, it could create a situation to where, yeah, you're making these fast decisions, but you grow to regret it, which leads me to believe that had Biggie actually lived, he in Faith would have ultimately gotten a divorce, because it can point towards him growing tired and growing bored with relationships easily. So there's that. But then, as it pertains to open enemies, because that Libra energy deals with enemies, even business partners, which, once again kind of makes me raise my eye when it comes to the whole P. Diddy thing. But it can deal with somebody who's dealing with business partners who are undercover, enemies. It can deal with him once again being shy, especially opposing his Chiron in Aries. Aries deals with the wounds. I mean, it can be mental wounds, but also very physical wounds, okay? It deals with him being shot, set up by enemies. But then also business partners, once again, or friends who kind of have ulterior motives, using him as a scapegoat or a fall guy to cover their own dirty business, which once again has me looking at Diddy sideways, real sideways, so there's that. And with his moon being conjoined to his Pluto, that just reaffirms him being very controlling, very abusive, even, like I said, very hypercritical, and very much even a perfectionist as it pertains to his career. Because we're talking about, Virgo deals with the 6th house, which is your everyday work life. But then also there's this sense of exploitation that comes with this placement, as it can produce somebody, especially with his sun trining his Pluto, somebody who is taken advantage of in a way, by their coworkers, their peers, like I said, by in their profession. So that's also something to think about. His sun trining his Pluto can also deal with there being forces that happen outside of his control, and a lot of it is tied to criminal activity. I wouldn't even rule out underhanded tricks by the police, DNA investigation being or him being under high investigation, him being intentionally watched, even with that Pluto there. But then also his sun trining his Pluto can set him up for some major transformative events as far as his career is concerned, but then also just in his life, especially his death, death being the ultimate transformation. Then when you take into account that crisis degree, I mean, hey, that produced some very crazy circumstances. But I can't get over this feeling of a lot of his death being planned. Yeah, so there's that. But then also with his Venus and Mars squaring his Pluto, like I said, him being very much fault-finding, insecure in relationships, controlling. I mean, this is like a reoccurring theme, honestly. Yeah. With his Mars and Venus opposing his Jupiter, this deals with Biggie making a lot of money, a lot of shmoney, but then also having a huge appetite for women, a large sex drive. His sun opposing his Neptune in Sagittarius at that deals with Biggie having a lot of secrets to him. And it kind of reinforces this theme of him dealing with shady people, shady friends. Like I said, this could even be childhood friends or friends who he just considers close, like brothers, somebody he could have considered a brother, which once again got me looking at P. Diddy ass some type of way. It just is what it is. But Sun opposing Neptune could also deal with Biggie selling drugs. I think his dad was out of his life for the most part, so he can point towards that. And then there being this lack of self-confidence, which obviously, I mean, it's not really that surprising, but him being able to integrate that in his music so eloquently, because I believe in that Big Papa song, no, was it Big Papa? Or was it One More Chance? Where he was like, black and ugly as ever. However, yeah, I stayed coochie down to the socks. Hey. So yeah, that was One More Chance. So yeah, he was definitely, especially with all this Virgo energy, Virgo is very body aware, very self-conscious. I think he was definitely battling those kind of demons. His Pluto in quincunx to his Chiron definitely dealt with him passing away, him being in that shooting. But it could also have dealt with him being a very violent person himself. And particularly that Pluto in the 6th house can also produce somebody who is, I guess you could say, who deals with like a lot of like their profession is very dark, right? So it's a quintessential placement for a drug dealer, okay, a drug lord. I think Pablo Escobar had his Pluto in the 6th house. I mean, but it's kind of still the same effect as that Virgo Pluto. Then you add that 29th degree, that Chiron in the mix. We're talking some very explosive situations. Biggie was definitely a dangerous person. I think he definitely put in some work, during his heyday or whatever, what have you. And then finally, taking a look at the aspects, or excuse me, the transits, rather, that were taking place during his date of death, which was March 9th, 1997. Pluto was sitting directly on top of his Neptune in Sagittarius, which is the quintessential aspect for conspiracy, for matters that are orchestrated, very transformative events that aren't really what they appear to be on the outside looking in. Then also Neptune was conjoined to his North Node, which once again, him being a Capricorn, North Node at that 29th degree, spells collusion from some sort of authority figure, governmental agency, even police force. I wouldn't rule that out. Yeah, Mars trining his sun, Mars trining his North Node, Mars trining his, his midheaven. So yeah, that deals with him being shot. But I mean, yeah, he has a lot of indicators that, like I said, both in his chart and this transit that reflect him dying wasn't by chance, nor was it a random act. And yeah, I don't want to get too deep off in that, but I do want to be very honest in that respect. So, yeah, with that being said, this concludes my reading on Mr. Biggie Smalls. Y'all be sure to drop down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts as well as any suggestions you may have for any future celebrity readings. And as always, make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until next time, I holla.